If me critiquing this game in any form, way, or fashion offends you, then you simply must be bitch made.
Don't you think you've seen enough?
Man, people love to be offended by anything nowadays. YouTube, what's good? Today we have another blunt review, and today's game we're looking at is Tomb Raider 2. Tomb Raider 2 has its own fan base where people believe it's the best classic Tomb Raider, and it is a complete, total masterpiece. I am gonna give my unfiltered, complete, raw opinions of this game. And here's a list of people I'm trying to please making this video. Take a good look. Spoilers, I do not think this game is a masterpiece. Now, when I review this game, I'm going to talk about what I liked about the game, and I'm going to talk about what I disliked about the game and how they could have fixed it. If you haven't played this game yet, you might see some spoilers, so you have been warned. So I played Tomb Raider 2 on Steam. For the quick rundown, Tomb Raider 2 is horribly ported over to Steam. There's no full screen mode, and I played with a controller and no buttons worked other than the joystick. I went online to find a fix for this using Paysoto's patch, and that did not work for me. So I downloaded a program called Joy2Key to get my controller working, and I went into the Steam folder of the game and changed the aspect ratio myself. So if you haven't noticed, my lore is a little thicker than usual. In hindsight, I definitely enjoyed Tomb Raider 2 way more than Tomb Raider 1, but this game definitely had its baggage of issues. So we're going to start off by talking about what I liked about this game. Tomb Raider 2's first level was definitely a great way to start the game. It had combat. It made you search for key items and kept the pacing right. It didn't make you spend an absurd amount of time looking for these key items. Then maneuvering yourself around all those traps gave you so much excitement. This was definitely a fun introduction into the game, and it made me excited to keep playing it. The new mechanics definitely make this game play a lot smoother than Tomb Raider 1. In this game, they give you new jumps where you can jump or flip one way, and while in midair, you can completely 180 and change your direction, which gives you more options in combat or ways to create space between you and your enemy. You know, when you're flipping around and you hit some of them shots, them style points come through. I have noticed in this game that when you jump, the window between when you press the button and she actually jumps is shorter, but it still has a delay. It's faster than Tomb Raider 1. Tomb Raider 2 allows you to climb ladders, which gives you another way to platform, but climbing in this game is slow and a little awkward. The game will actually require you to jump off of ladders and actually change your direction mid-jump. Definitely looks cool and adds to platforming, but we'll talk more about this later. Tomb Raider has always had little details in terms of animations and visuals done A1. Look at that death animation. That's brutal. Venice was one of the best looking levels I've seen in a retro game. Do you guys not see the spring oil pastel colors on this level? Hold up, this nigga shooting at me when I'm trying to record a clip. Tomb Raider 2 definitely does a good job at creating tension, curiosity, isolation, and dread through the game's soundtrack. There's definitely moments in Tomb Raider 2 where the audio and visual create an ambiance that is taken right out of a survival horror game. In the Temple of Xi'an level, walking with a flare in the dark and watching the textures pop up definitely gave me a Silent Hill 2 vibe. Tomb Raider 2 levels are definitely creative, but I think what really gets me is the architecture behind some of these levels. I like how in one of the boat levels you can tell that the ship is sunken upside down when you actually look at the environment. The monastery level was very visually appealing, and I think it had very good architecture put to it too. The new weapons definitely were nice, but they didn't really make you play too differently. But that grenade launcher sure did help.
Triple kill.
Having outfits for certain missions was definitely a nice little touch. In video games, I'm definitely about appeal rather than how well armor functions. Shoutouts to Fashion Souls. Tomb Raider 2 definitely has better enemy variety than the previous game, and these enemies are definitely way more exciting to fight. Enemies in this game are no longer just animals with the same bite pattern, but now we have even more humanoid enemies ready to glaze you. Yetis trying to charge at you like Wario. Undead Chinese soldiers trying to kill you for the honor. Since some of these enemies run or walk faster than you do, you'll definitely have to master the new jump and flip mechanics if you don't want to take damage. With all the new enemies and their attack varieties, and the updated mechanics, it slightly adds a little more depth to your playstyle than we've seen in the previous Tomb Raider game. As the game continued to progress, the enemies got a lot more tougher and they started taking a lot more damage. Some rooms in the game will spawn a lot of enemies or some difficult enemies on you, and I actually enjoyed that. There was a few times where I found myself having no health packs, and I had to pull a Scooby-Doo on these niggas. You know, I really like the monastery level because you could have had two factions of people trying to kill you, between the monks and the mercenaries, and then they're killing each other, trying to kill you. I accidentally shot the monks. I didn't know they'll help you if you didn't shoot them. Sorry, I don't like Shaolin. In this game, each level has 3 hidden dragon pieces that you can find, and once you find the third one, the game gives you a surplus of ammo. Hey, I found Reptar, y'all. Some of the levels in Tomb Raider 2 have the addition of vehicles in it. The vehicles actually have smoother movement than you're walking, but they could at least told you how to get out of the vehicle so you won't die when you encounter somebody. Now that I talked about what I liked about the game, we gotta talk about what I disliked about this game because it definitely has its baggage of issues. After playing the first level of Tomb Raider 2, the game made me think that it would not make you wander around a lot and it would have a lot better pacing. Man, let me tell you, I was wrong. Bruh, this game makes you consistently wander around trying to figure out what to do and where to go. Over and over again. That was my main issue with Tomb Raider 1, and I think this game made me do way more wandering around since it has way more levels than Tomb Raider 1. It took me 22 hours to beat this game. The amount of times I had to reference a guide when I got stuck is actually absurd. This game in reality only should have took 8 to 12 hours to beat. The majority of people who beat this game know damn well they used the guide, or they weren't beating the game. Stop all that capping. If you beat this game without a guide, we already know you spent hours, days, maybe even weeks trying to figure out what to do. While the game gave you no other thing to do other than to search to find out what to do or run around Croft Manor. Here's someone who said it took him 2 months to beat the game. When you have to reference a guide more than 3 times to beat the base game, not 100% and find all the items, but to beat the base game, there's definitely an issue with the game. When I look online to see what people are saying about this game, there's literally people saying they got stuck on the 2nd level so they couldn't beat the game. It almost happened to me, to be honest, if I didn't reference a guide. Let me ask you guys a question. What masterpiece has people permanently stuck on the 2nd level to the point where they can't beat the game? Trying to figure out where to go in this game is so annoying and troublesome, and it causes you to do all this backtracking. In the wreck of the Maria Doria level, there's literally a ledge in a dark room that you can't really see, and since I couldn't see it, it had me running all over the place trying to find what to do. In the same level, there's literally a hole with a walkway path, and I actually looked down the hole and fell into it, and because the way my camera was facing, I didn't see the path. Since I didn't see the path, I started wandering around, wasting my time trying to figure out what to do. Nobody is checking every ledge and dangling under every ledge in the game to see if there's a path that's walkable there. In the Venice level, I'm over here trying to jump to these parasols, which looks like I can actually grab them, but I can't. Also in the Venice level, driving the boat into the mines was not obvious. You guys didn't even tell me how to get off the boat. Makes sense though, but I was looking for a switch. To raise the door. The best way to play this game is to write down all the key items that you get and then all the keyholes that are in the level and their locations. But the crazy thing is some of the levels get so expansive that you just might miss one of the keyhole locations. Let's say you didn't write down the key item locations and you took a break from the game and then you start playing it again. You might just forget where that item even goes. And you're going to do a whole bunch of wandering around trying to figure out where it goes. And let's be real, not everybody's going to write down all the keyhole locations in the game when they play it. I think one thing the game could have did to stop all the confusion of trying to figure out where to go is to have a fillable map. Like a Metroid game, where you discover a room and it's now added to your map and it shows you if there's keyhole locations there or levers. But you still have to discover it first. I think the game needs way more different gameplay elements rather than just excessively search and look for stuff and wander around. There are so many more different type of gameplay elements that they could have put into the game, like they could have taken away our weapons and made us run and hide from a constantly pursuing enemy. We could have maneuvered ourselves through some trap wires and show mastery of all the different type of jumps that are in the game. Could have had a section where the lava rises and we had to platform ourselves really quickly all the way up. There's just so many different type of gameplay elements that they could have put into the game, yet they chose to consistently put elements in the game to make you search or wonder for something. Another gameplay element that gets constantly overused are the boulder traps. There ain't nothing wrong with traps, but why do all of them have to be boulder traps for the most part? I sure didn't see this coming. When it comes to puzzles in this game, the puzzles aren't really that bad. You're either moving a box, hitting a lever, or stepping on a platform until something happens. There could have been way more puzzle variation in the game too, like you're either doing one of those three things or a combination of them. That's it. Figuring out what to do in this game and where to go is way more puzzling than the actual puzzles in this game. The issue though is when you spend all that time trying to figure out what to do and then the game gives you a puzzle, like bruh, I spent all that time trying to figure out what to do and you guys are gonna give me a fucking puzzle to do? Ain't nobody trying to do that. A prime example of this is the 40 Fathoms lever puzzle. You gotta walk all around and hit all these levers in a specific order to turn off some fire, and then the game doesn't even tell you that you're actually on the timer. And then by the time I got to the door that you're supposed to go in, the fire turned back on and burned me alive. And before I even got to that puzzle, you already know you're doing a whole bunch of searching around. Another thing I didn't like in this game is sometimes you hit these levers, and then it shows you a room and it shows you that something changed. And sometimes I don't even recognize where that room is or what changed in the room. Sometimes you hit these levers and then you hear an unlocking noise. And sometimes I don't even know what it's indicating. That happens a couple of times, but it's nothing crazy. This game sure did come with some bugs into it too. There was a couple of times where I got hit by things I really didn't get hit by. Y'all know I did not even get touched by that snowball. Now I'm getting stabbed by nothing. I'm clearly shooting this bell up and it's not ringing. But when I do this very specific set of motions, it wants to work.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
Tell me why on whatever ice level this is, when I drop down from the middle, I die. But then when I drop from the right side, I live. Like it's a change of height or something. In the Sunken Maria Doria level, there's actually a game-breaking glitch. When you get into this room and you grab the key item that you need first, and then you go to the other side of the room and you press the switch to drain the water, the hatch that opens up when you grab the key item will be closed when you go to it again and there's nothing you can do. There's nowhere you can go, you're done. So have multiple saves when you play this game. So at this part, you gotta make sure you hit the switch first, then grab the key item so the hatch will be open so you can get in it. In the Temple of Xion level, when I hit this one switch, the door never opened, so it made me think that I need to hit a power switch, and I wandered around the level looking for a power switch and there never was one. Game does ever slightly have a little bit better controls than Tomb Raider 1, but it's still slow and clumpy. Tank controls. It's not like tank controls are an issue for me, but it's what this game tries to make you do with tank controls that's the issue. Sometimes this game will make you hit narrow jumps and the controls do not support jumping like that whatsoever. Like you guys know you have tank controls, so why are you trying to make people do jumps like this? Because the game has a press and hold feature before the character actually jumps, sometimes the controls just mess you up and then the jumps that you have to do just don't complement the controls. There was one jump on the floating island that I could not just do. I never struggled with any of the jumps where you have to backflip off the ladder, but for whatever reason, she did not want to grasp the ladder after I 180'd. I spent about 30 minutes trying to do this jump and couldn't do it, so I used a level skip cheat. I was at the end of the level anyways. That was the only time that happened in this game. I mentioned how the game sometimes gives you a lot of enemies to fight. On the floating island level, the game makes you fight the Chinese cult and undead Chinese warriors in this room. The issue is the room is not as open as it should be. Considering you're going to be doing all that jumping and flipping around, they decided to design the level to have 2 straightaway lava paths, which you can easily jump and flip into and kill yourself. Why is this room designed like that knowing you're doing all that fighting? Another thing that annoys me in this game about the combat is sometimes the enemies just body block you and it ruins your inputs. It turns Laura all around and it makes her flinch. It's just really annoying, but it doesn't happen too often, as long as you can keep enemies off of you. Overall, I did enjoy certain aspects of the game, and there were times where I was enjoying the game, but honestly, I can't just sit here and ignore the fact that the game did X, Y, and Z poorly. I see this game getting praised left and right, and people call it a masterpiece, but to be honest, I think people are just ignoring the issues that the game actually has. This game is far from a masterpiece in my honest opinion. This game just has way too many inconveniences in the form of bugs, bad controls, and all the wandering and searching around. I'm not saying you can't do that in games, but they constantly just do that, and it just ruins all your excitement and motivation and momentum to keep playing the game. Listen, you can like this game and you can like those elements, but I think the majority of people will not like that stuff, especially considering how many people I see haven't even beat the game. I do understand that there are people out there that do like all the wandering around and searching, but honestly, I think that's a very few minor people. It's definitely not the majority of people. You can like whatever you like. I'm not telling you what you can and can like. You're entitled to your own opinion, and everything on this channel is open to civil discussion. You know, I see so many people call this game hardcore and they praise it and all that type of stuff, but I think it's a huge difference between a game being difficult and a game that's flooded with so many inconveniences because it's not well articulated, making it difficult. Now, let me say this. I know this game came out in 1997, and some of you guys might say, oh, the game has all those flaws, but that's just old school games. When the game came out in 1997, it was amazing. And I can understand games going from 2D to 3D is amazing. Just as there's well articulated 2D games, should there be well articulated 3D games? There's still so many old school games that hold their place in the top 30 spots of several people's top 100 game list of all time. You can say old school games might not be well as articulated as games as today, and you can expect more glitches, which is true, but, and that is a thing, but honestly, a good game is a good game. It doesn't matter when it came out. It's about how well articulated it is. Super Mario 64 came out in June 1996. It's considered one of the best games of all time, a true masterpiece. It's on IGN's top 100 games of all time, and it's number 10 out of 100. There is no classic Tomb Raider game on IGN's top 100 games of all time, or any top 100 game list that I've seen. Rise of the Tomb Raider is. Super Mario 64 came out in June 23rd, 1996, and still beats all these games to today's standards and a top 100 game list of all time. Tomb Raider 1 came out on October 25th, 1996. Super Mario 64 is 3D and does not have tank controls. In Super Mario 64, you can jump and move your character as you want to with no issues. It came out before Tomb Raider 1 and 2, and is considered to be top 10 games of all time. You can beat Super Mario 64 without referencing a guide. Crash Bandicoot 1 came out September 9, 1996, doesn't have tank controls, it's in 3D. You can move your character as you want to. So all I'm saying is the time that a game came out has nothing to do with anything. All that really matters is how good the game is and how well the game is articulated and plays. I do not find Tomb Raider 2 to be articulated to the point where it's a masterpiece or even a good game. It is decent at best. As a classic Tomb Raider game, I'd give it a 7.4. I liked it more than Tomb Raider 1. But has a game being compared to all the other type of games out there, I have to give this game like a 6.5. It's way too many inconveniences. I gave Tomb Raider 1 a 7, but that's just seeing it has a Tomb Raider game. Being compared to all the other type of games out there, I probably give it like a 6.2. If this game had more gameplay variation, then I think a lot of its problems would actually disappear. This is a game that should easily be in the 8 to 10 range, score-wise, but since they really made you rely on wondering and searching so much, it just became such a huge inconvenience for me at that point. And I'm sure many other people. I think the people that made this game are definitely creative, and they definitely made some good sections in this game. Amazing intro and amazing outro. I know this video is about to have some people mad, but honestly, I don't care. There's gonna be people to be like, Perkspective, he criticized Tomb Raider 2. Dislike bomb. Hey, listen, bruh. If this review offended you in any sort of way, me critiquing a video game, then that just shows that you're weird, sheltered, and mentally immature. So, you guys already know what I'm about to say. Shoutouts to my new subscribers. Shoutouts to my new subscribers that are classic Tomb Raider fans and still have good discussions, even though we don't see eye to eye. And anyways, y'all, vibe out.